Hey guys, how's it going? What's up? Review time! Traxxas Bandit, brushed edition, 110 scale, buggy, awesome! Okay, so I've had this thing for a few days, and I've been really having a lot of fun with this thing. I've recharged the NIM pack so many times. I've put several packs through this thing. Even ran lipo in it a couple of times, had some fun. Did some bashing in the backyard last night too, jumping it off my, small ramps. And of course that grass mound that's in my yard that's actually fun for jumping vehicles off of. And it's a pretty good jumper, even with the suspension set up the way it is. But only for small jumps. Okay, this thing is not going to handle big jumps with the stock setup. You're going to have to definitely do some, tweaking to get it to take, much taller and stronger type of jumping. But definitely not a fast enough machine brushed to go to our skate park with anyways, where I've been lately with my Slash and my Rustler and beating the daylights out of them. So you're definitely going to need brushless power for that sort of crazy stuff. But definitely a good little durable machine. It's based a lot on the Rustler, so it is actually built really well. I don't know about the A-arms at the back because they are smaller than the Rustler. The Rustler actually uses Slash Stampede arms, okay, because the Slash and the Stampede use the same A-arms, so the Rustler is going to use the same arms in the rear. But both the Rustler and the Bandit both do share the same front A-arms, from what I can tell visually. And of course, shock towers, front and rear, are going to be the same. Front and rear shocks appear to be the same. Transmissions appear to be the same. That sort of jazz. Of course, my Rustler started out as a brushed machine, so it has non-adjustable camber links. The same as this. It is just the straight plastic camber link, so non-adjustable. The difference between the brushed Bandit and the VXL is the VXL, of course, has the Valencion brushless system in it. It has ball bearings all the way around, has a 2075 servo. This one has the 2056. So there's some definite differences there between the VXL system and this one. This is the one that I could afford to buy, and I can always go brushless later. I have decided, though, I am not going to put out the money for the Valencion system. Although I know there's a lot of Valencion fanboys out there. I do have a system in here that's Valencion, and that's my Slash. And I do like it, but I just can't afford it. But there are a lot of other options out there for brushless that are just as good as the Valencion, perhaps even better, for a lot less money. So that's where I'm looking to, is I need to save some money. And but anyways, I don't mind using third party. So first set of upgrades that are definitely going to happen on this are going to be the adjustable camber links. I'm going to go with the ball bearings all the way around. I'm going to upgrade my steering system to the metal ball bearing steering system for a lot stronger, smoother steering. I put that upgrade actually in the Rustler, and I love it. I'm not sure if I'm going to change the servo to the 2075 or not. The 2056 actually does quite the nice job. So I'm pretty happy with the way it is at the moment. But if I do need stronger, I may go 2075, or I just might use one of those Tower Pro servos that I threw in my deadbolt, because they're even way stronger than the Traxxas, way faster and metal geared. So I might even go that way. I haven't quite decided. That's the beauty about hobby grade stuff. You can throw in pretty much anything you want, you know what I mean? So it's kind of a lot of beneficials that way. Great control on the asphalt. This thing is really a dream to drive on asphalt. Slow speeds, high speeds, speed pinion, regular pinion on there. Just great. Really liking it. Dirt hangs on pretty decently so far for the amount of dirt I have had it on. I've yet to take it to the park and get onto that dirt and really, nail on it and see how well it controls. But the experience I've had around the neighborhood, because a lot of us have dirt driveways, I've been back and forth to the neighbors' driveways a bit because they have a lot more dirt than I do. I'm more gravel in mine. Works really well. So pretty happy with that. Done some nice little burnouts on the asphalt as well as on the sand with the rear tires. And they're not even showing a sign of wear, so that's good. And I really did hammer on it, because one of the things is when I watched the review from Ultimate RC, Jang, on the Bandit. Now, given that when he did that review, that was on the one with the AM radio system. That was, a few years back. So, tire compound, I'm sure, has changed since then. One of the things he had mentioned was about the tires, they will wear out quickly, depending on what you're doing with them on different terrains, but they will wear. I don't see that happening with these tires, but, the test of time will tell, of course. I mean, in all, I've thrown quite a few battery packs through it. I didn't even keep track. It's a lot of recharge cycles, okay? So I have run quite a few through it, and I've really beaten on the thing since I broke the motor in. And it took 3 packs just to really break the motor in properly, and there's a process that I go through. I explain that on my channel and other videos. Check out my videos about how to break in a brushed motor. Brushless motors, at least, you don't have to break in, so very beneficial. The LiPo, I've run that a couple of times in the truck, and buggy, sorry. And I really like the LiPo power, really good punch, and you get to keep that full speed right until it goes blah. Where an impact, it's going to keep the full speed for, a good few minutes there. It's going to be really nice, but then it starts to slowly peter off, right? And that's fine. That's the nature of NIMS. That's the way they work. You deal with it. It's been that way forever. It'll always be that way as long as there's impacts. Now, the included charger sucks. It's actually a disgrace to Traxxas to do something this stupid and moronic with this charger. And I'm going to tell you why for a few reasons. Number one, it's a 4 amp charger and you've only got a 3 amp battery. I've tried charging this battery at 3 amps on my hobby grade charger. And at a 3 amp load, that battery gets a little too warm to be, you can't use it for at least an hour after it comes off, because you can't throw a hot battery into an RC when it's charged, because you're going to hurt the battery, okay? You're also going to suck it down quick. Like 17 minutes turns into 5 because you're already starting with a hot battery. It's like, but 3 amps is what they say to charge it at, and then they say 4 amps is safe too. No way 4 amps is safe. I mean, that's super fast charging, and that harms batteries. You don't even super fast charge a car battery. I mean, it's just retarded. That's when you cause a lot of problems. And you definitely will shorten the life cycles of the battery by fast charging it at 3 amp or at 4 amp with this particular battery. Just not a cool thing. So I've done that once, just to see how it reacts at 3 amps. So at 3 amps, that was hot enough for me. 4 amps, it's going to be cooking, so forget it. Not a good idea. Very bad charger that they're supplying, because when you compare 3 amps is 3 amps, 4 amps is 4 amps, this charger is what they call a peak detecting fast charger. Okay, so if you're impatient and you don't want to wait, then use this charger, and hey, but they don't tell you about the side effect on there where you're going to be buying more batteries. And we all know Traxxas batteries are not cheap, okay? So that kind of sucks if you're a Traxxas fanboy and you love your Traxxas batteries. Well, guess what? They'll be making a lot of money off you. I only run NIM packs for a little while until I get a LiPo specific for an RC, and then I run straight LiPo, and I prefer LiPos anyhow. But not everybody's me, right? A lot of us won't even use these included chargers because we already have hobby grade chargers, but there's a lot of noobs out there, and that's a really important thing. But also there's a lot of people that are into the hobby that don't even have a car, so they can't even benefit in any way, shape, or form from this charger. But the worst is the noobs who, the parents said, okay, Traxxas seems to be a really good product, we're going to buy you a Traxxas machine, start you out with that, and next thing you know, you get this machine, you don't have a car. You can't charge the battery. You're screwed. Now you're calling up Traxxas going, hey, I can't use this thing. I don't even own a car. Like, what the hell is this? And I'm sure they're going to get a lot of phone calls. And they might end up having to throw out a lot of free plug-in wall chargers, or charge you a cheaper rate. I don't know how they're going to handle it, but, they should have thought ahead of the game. I mean, hey, they do really good tech here when it comes to their RCs, but this was the most stupidest thing they could have ever done with this charger, right? And I mean it especially with people that don't have cars. And even people that do have cars that can use this, a lot of parents are not going to let their kids plug the damn thing into the car so they can charge their battery and play with their RC at home, This is good for if you're out at the beach and you you need a portable charging system and you want it fast. The only problem with the fast part is, like I said, it burns out your batteries quicker, and even if it only takes a half an hour to charge that battery up, you still got to wait a friggin' hour or longer at 4 amp load. You're going to be waiting even longer before the battery, can cool down enough that you can safely even use it without wrecking stuff, like your battery, for example. And I've seen it where people have overheated a Traxxas battery and the plastic casing starts melting away. You guys know that have Spartan boats, what that nightmare is like, don't you? Right? So, and I've seen the results posted all over Facebook and YouTube on that already. You know, so you imagine you're charging your battery on a peak charger like this, you know, it's going to get really cooking hot. And then it's like, a lot of kids, they're impatient. Parents, they generally don't know better anyways, unless they're already into the hobby. But a lot of people aren't, right? So they kind of just, hopefully they can understand and read the instructions competently enough. But even still, a lot of people don't investigate enough, right, before they start doing stuff. And that's where they make the big mistakes and have a lot of problems. So, you know, and what's your alternative choice? You buy a hobby grade charger, right? At least with a hobby grade charger, you can hook them up to cars too, direct to the battery. So you don't even need to start the car and have it running, because there are a lot of cars that won't even activate that power plug in the car unless the car is running. So now you're wasting your parents' fuel in their vehicle. You're also putting excessive wear and tear, letting that thing idle, you know, for however long it takes to charge the battery for your machine. So again, that's stupid, which also makes it a bad environmental thing too, sitting there idling your car for God knows how long. So you're going to have to go out and buy a hobby grade charger. And all the hobby grade chargers, even the IMAX B6, which is a fairly inexpensive charger, can hook up to a car battery, no problem, and you don't even need the car running. It's direct to the battery with alligator clips. But then, you know, how many charge cycles are you going to be able to get during the day out at the beach, and you might kill your parents' car battery, or kill your car battery if you're the one doing this, right? It's kind of, you got to think ahead of the game a little bit. Oh, that's where we buy spare batteries. Not everybody does, okay? Everybody buys a ready-to-run vehicle that comes with a battery, that kind of ready to run like this is. You know, if you don't have a car, you don't have fun to drive. Now you got to waste more time, more money to get yourself a charger, right? This was stupid. Traxxas could have said, okay, we'll give you an easy peak charger, and for those people who are in a rush can use this, although you will shorten the lifespan cycles of your battery. That's what they don't tell you. Okay, I'll guarantee you will, okay? And anybody who's been in the hobby for a while knows when you start fast peak charging batteries, you don't get the same performance levels or the same lifespans out of your batteries doing that. Very, very bad thing to do. So, but entirely your choice. So the one nice thing about this charger is at least it's not a 5-hour charger that Traxxas has always supplied up until this point. The bad point is, if you don't have a car, you're screwed. You're not using your nice brand new toy until you get a charger that you can get to work with your vehicle, okay? So that means a hobby grade charger, you know, and you want to get something halfway decent. So, you know, out in China, Banggood IMAX B6 chargers are about 40 bucks, you know, and they're really good chargers. I have one and I like it. I've had it for, a long time now, and dozens and dozens of times it's been used, like too many times to count. Still going strong. But, I mean, still, and you're waiting 3 to 4 weeks to get that even from China. So you still got almost a month you're not going to be able to run your toy for. So, but Traxxas could have easily made this so that, okay, here's the car setup, so you can plug right into the car. But then give you a wall adapter that can provide enough power to use this, to give this enough power to, say, half the amperage. Okay, now I generally charge a 3-cell battery at 1.5 amps, okay, or sorry, a nickel methyl hydrate 3000 milliamp battery. I charge a 3000 milliamp battery at 1.5 amps. Yes, it does take longer to charge. However, my battery does not get hot. It does. If it does get warm, it's like Lucas of warm. Okay, not every NIM pack is equal in that sense. But I'm going to get more life cycles out of my NIM pack, right? And so that's all beneficial. So they could have supplied a power supply along with this so that you could use it on the wall in the house, right? And then you're in the house, your kid can use your hydro in the house, or you can use the hydro in your house and charge it, you know, and it'll give you 2 amps. And then if you're a real impatient person, well, guess what? You plug it into your car, you know, and you're gonna get 4 amps. And if you don't have a car, who the hell cares? It won't make a difference, because you would have an included power supply that could power this sucker and at least give you 2 amps out of the 4 amps, because you really don't want to fast charge batteries. It really does hurt the batteries bad, right? That's why you don't fast charge a LiPo battery, because that's what can cause explosions to happen, you know, and meltdowns and fires, and because you're jamming too much amperage in. You know, and LiPos are a lot more volatile than an impact is, so you know, you got to take different care with them and different charge rates with them. You know, it's not an option. So, you know, but this was the stupidest thing Traxxas could have done with this charger. It's disgusting. And I've never used it, and I don't need to. I have hobby grade chargers, you know, but I did try charging the Traxxas battery at 3 amps, which is what they recommend for the 3000 milliamp battery. They say charge it at 3 amps, you know, and that's where you need to be. So I did that. Battery got a little bit too warm for my taste. So you know what? It ain't going to be done that way again. 1.5 amps is all I allow to go into that thing. Sure, it takes me longer to charge my battery, but I get great performance. I got 17 full minutes of full throttling the daylights out of this thing with the stock pinion gear, and that's pretty respectable considering I was full throttling it a lot. And this thing is still pretty quick, even with the stock pinion with a brush system. So anyways, guys, overall, enough of that. I'm going to give this thing a good 3 3/4 out of 5. I would love to give it more, but the charger is a really severe bad point, you know, and it's not perfect, right? The machine is definitely not perfect, so there's automatic, you know, so, but it's only going to get a 3 3/4 because of the chargers being a major problem there, as far as I'm concerned, to a good lot of people, maybe not the majority, but to a good lot. And especially to newbies, this is going to be a problem, and newbies that also, and people in general that do not have or own a car, and there's a lot of them out there that don't, right? So this is going to be definitely an issue there. So anyways, still, yes, I recommend it. Awesome buggy. Really love it. I'm going to enjoy doing all the upgrades on it, and when I get the brushless upgrades done to it, and a few other upgrades to make it stronger like bull, I am definitely at that point going to take it to the skateboard park where I've been taking my Slash and my Rustler, and we shall beat on it on the quarter pipe at that time. But right now, this thing doesn't even have enough generated speed that I can get up to speed fast enough in the short distances I get to play with to actually jump this effectively. I would actually destroy the thing, and sorry, I'm not going to do that, you know. So I'd rather have a good jumping experience and maybe break something minor than to destroy the entire vehicle. So we will wait till brushless technology is installed, then we shall have some real big fun with this. Just one last thing. I probably mentioned it, but just to double mention this, is the wheels do not have hex nuts anywhere. Get hex nuts, and you can use just about any 1/10 scale wheel you want. Otherwise, it's the slotted rim style, and but that's about it. So catch you later, guys.